boy. It's a difficult one. Looking for a hard-headed woman, one who'll take me for myself. And if I find my hard-headed woman, I will need nobody else. No. I'm looking for a hard-headed woman, one who'll make me do my best. And if I find my hard-headed woman, I know the rest of my life will be blessed. Yes. That's the lie that we're told. I know a lot of fancy dancers, people who can glide you on the floor. They move so smooth, but they have no answers. No. When you ask them what you come here for, I don't know why. Hard-headed woman. Dun, dun. Warm today. I know many fine feathered friends, but their friendliness depends on how you do. They know many sure-fired ways to find out the one who pays and how you do. I'm looking for a hard-headed woman. One will make me feel so good. And if I find my hard-headed woman, I know my life will be as it should. Yes. Looking for a hard-headed woman, one who will make me do my best. And if I find my hard-headed woman, I know. Yeah, it's interesting. Men think they can find a woman that will help them do their best. And women don't always understand that. Modern women. The modern woman doesn't understand that. We're not looking for women with degrees and strong, independent types. I had a stepfather who was one of the strong, silent types. I don't need a woman that's a strong, independent type. My eyesight is getting worse, so I guess I'm going to have to go to the doctor or something, or just live with it. This morning or this afternoon, I signed off quickly because Ham was having a call and you guys wanted to be on it. So I've come back on tonight, and I'm just going to finish thoughts. I'll answer some questions. We can discuss different things. And I'm just going to go through. If I'm interrupting somebody else, I don't think I am. You know, as they used to say in my neighborhood, tough titties. I mean, you can always leave to listen to someone else and then come back to the recording. Anyway, today, my eyesight is just really, I don't know what's gone wrong with me. And this doesn't really work. The underlying security of this option is currently considered hard to borrow. The current borrow rate is 6,000 some hundred%. Anyway, it's Finger. This was Fidelity. And I don't know if these guys are in trouble, but I wouldn't say that's a good sign for them. Now, I would caution before we got all excited. They always seem to know the tricks, how to get the system to work for them, not for us. But it's really interesting. And I'm going to show you a chart on Finger quickly. I have a very, I just do it on the computer, and it doesn't, to get really good charts, you got to go with somebody better than I am. But here's Finger. Sorry, this is Nixie. Let's do Finger first. Let's do Finger first, and I got to find my glasses, even though it doesn't really work. All right, this is how I see Finger on a 5-year chart. Everything is sloppy, so I'm sorry about that. I already read to you today my targets using a 1-year chart, so I put up the 5-year. That green line, I think, is a downtrend. Unfortunately, my finger went a little bit to the inside as I drew downward. So that's probably a little bit to the shy side, but it gives you the point. I think Finger has broken out of that trend. It's not, this implies it's much bigger, perhaps, than it actually is. But in any event, I think Finger is breaking out of a long-term downtrend. And I think that can set up a very powerful ultimate move. Now, you see twice before in Finger's experience, it can just suddenly snap up like a boomerang or like a arrow or like a whatever, like a seesaw that the kid on the other end got off. And well, that's the wrong direction. I don't know. I can't give you an analogy, but you've seen before that can go up very rapidly. The yellow line, and that's where I'm going to have a hard time. That's kind of the $2 range, the $1.80 to $2 range, $1.60, $2. I think that's a significant level, broadly, all the way back to where Finger first moved up. It rallied and it pulled back down sort of to the top of that $2 range. So again, in my very amateur judgment, $2 is significant. Once Finger gets above $2, I think that's, to my eye, a breakout from being underwater, let's say, and that's resistance. That's resistance. And if it breaks out, you could see it pop up like it has several of these other times. Or if my blue line is correct, it's just going to break through, and then on the 1-year chart, it kind of showed Sorry, I'm trying to remember it. 220, 240, 260, 280. So I think we could be range bound between $2 and $3 if it breaks through 2. How long, I don't know. But I think it has work to do there. This has been, I don't think this one is going to be a pop out like some of these others. I think but it could be, it's all about probabilities. But my guess is once we break through 2, that becomes support. Doesn't mean we won't go below it, but I don't think we will. And I think somewhere 220, 240, 260, 280, $3, maybe 320 are the fits and starts as the stock I think will appreciate, but I think it'll do it in sort of buy the dip, sell the rip kind of ways. How long? I don't know. I think there's going to be people who will be glad to get out in the $2 to $3 range, possibly. And so as stock changes hands from what might be considered weak hands to strong hands, I suppose, maybe just tired hands to new hands would be a better way to describe it. I think we'll trade between 2 and 3 roughly for a little while. But anyway, once it breaks, my number would be 320. It doesn't really show here. The red line gives the next range where I think you're going to see it trade. Once it breaks through 4, which I'm not saying that'll necessarily happen immediately, but if Finger can break through 4, I think 4 becomes its support. So let me say that differently. I think it's going to be difficult for Finger to break through 4. So whatever is fundamental, and I'm talking other than a short squeeze, whatever's fundamental that it gets it above 4 is going to be considerable. And I think 4 will become its sort of longer term support. If you take that red line all the way up over to the end of the page, I should have done it. You can see all that cluster there. When Finger first went up, it made a pennant. That's all right at the 4. It all comes down right at the 4 range. So I think 4 is significant. And then if I can read this correctly, I think this is around $8 here. So between 8, 9, and even $10. Man, if it broke through 10, you're in a whole new ball game. You're in a whole new ball game. But anyway, I think Finger, that red line would be my rest of the year framework if it got through 4. That's going to cause if there is truly 250, 300 million shares undelivered, that's going to cause some pain. We'll find out if these guys have been able to move it to Germany or move it to Panama. Anyway, that's my read on Finger. And here's my read on Nixie. Again, I'm very amateur. This used to be recruiter.com. This is a 5-year chart. The red circle up there really highlights 2 things. To me, that's a gap. Yes, it's not technically because there's trades there, but to me, that's a gap. And so my guess is if there's a squeeze in Nixie, it might go up and fill that gap. So I drew the red line up there. And the problem is my eyesight just won't allow me to read those numbers. I think they're in the 170 range, 180 range, but it might be over 200. My eyesight over the last handful of days, week, I can't tell you what that says. But anyway, that would be my target filling that gap would be my target in if a short squeeze really happened. I'm not expecting it, but I put it out there. The downward trend recently in Nixie, I've drawn in the blue lines what I see, which is a declining wedge. This is a very bullish pattern. I will admit that because I see it, doesn't mean that's what that pattern is. A more talented person might say that's not what that is. But to my eyes, that's what it is. Maybe it's because it's what I want it to be. But if Nixie breaks out, and again, I have such fat fingers, it's probably down at the, God, I just can't read that. Maybe it's around the $2 number. But if you more precisely draw a downward line, hugging all of those highs, I think it's around $2. So we're close. I mean, if Nixie breaks through there, I think the move could be quite sharp to the upside. I drew these two green lines because I think the top green line will become resistance. Is it going to be significant? I think it could be because it's been tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, 6 maybe times before and always come down. So, and again, I really can't tell you what that number is. Is it 7? Is it 6? Is it 8? I don't know. But somewhere in the higher single digits might be a pause for the cause or a pause for a fight. And that might be where we have to get out of the trade of finger. If there's a lot, Nixie. If there's a lot of volume and it can't quite get through this double Tetons right here, or a little bit these over here in the middle of the page, somewhere 10 range, under 10, and it can't get through, well, that might be all we have in this trade. If it does get through 10, obviously 20 is an issue, but I drew that yellow line, that orange line, for where I think you can expect in a squeeze-ish type run. If it breaks through 10, good volume, and it just really takes off, I would look at that 40, 50, maybe 60 range as where I would be like, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm going to take this. I can't believe I have this. And of course, I drew the red line as my, I just don't know what that number is. I can't tell you what that number is. It might be 170. Anyway, let's say somewhere around 150 to 200. I don't expect the red line to, I don't expect the yellow line. In fact, if I had to put probability on Nixie, we're going to see really high volume and it'll get somewhat above that top green line and it might stall. So I do think we're going to see that top green line. So that's like 8. Let's call that 8. That's what I would say 8. We should see 10, 12, 20. I didn't draw 20, but 20 I think looks like it's a free ride to there. But anyway, all right, enough on that. I don't know if Ham's coming on. Who are you? Who are you? I've never seen your name before. Why do you care if Ham comes on? Ham had a call earlier. Ham called me 3 times. I spoke with Ham today. Ham had told me that he wasn't probably going to be able to come on. If I don't know who the hell you are, but if you're trying to imply there's some issue, there's no issue. If you're really here to listen to Ham, I would suggest that you go on to X and replay his call from earlier today. There's a recording from his call the day before. There's a recording from his call the day before that. There's a recording from his call the day before that. You can also come on to my channel and you can see the recordings of my calls. Each day he comes on, except for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, when he flew out to bumfar United States and caught a cold, and then got puppies, and he lost his voice and had calls with other people and then was unavailable. It's just one of those things. But you can hear him. I'll tell you what, he says the same thing every time. So, hey, I really appreciate you coming on and asking, where is Ham? My question is, who the hell are you? And why are you here? Ham's call was planned to be with, all right. He called me at 3 o'clock. I don't know what time his call was. I signed off. I didn't know that. I didn't know the call was planned to be with me. I signed off as soon as I knew I was running into his call. I think you guys said it was 1:55 or 1:50. And I looked at the clock and it was 1:55 or 1:50. I forget now. I said, all right, I'm going to go. You guys go listen to him. I didn't want to talk over him. I don't think it's a big issue. Ham's message to me this morning was finger motion cannot be bought at Fidelity. They're in trouble with G-Bucks. They're just washing trades, crossing trades. And by the way, I can't get a chart on G-Bucks. My service doesn't even show the symbol, so I didn't include it. But his bottom line message on G-Bucks is the shorts are in trouble, and I would agree with that. Yeah, I can't. Let me see where G-Bucks closed. 329. It looks good. G-Bucks announced their dividend. Ham predicted that. That's good. What we're waiting on with G-Bucks, why don't we just go quickly through all three of my stocks other than finger motion that we've talked about. G-Bucks, according to Yahoo Finance, I really wonder what's gone wrong with my eyes. And anyway, it'll be all right. Okay, so I don't know why it's taking so long. I guess Yahoo is, there it is. I guess everybody's using it. Okay, so the most recent news is that they put up that they're finalizing the terms of the warrant. That's to trap the shorts. I don't expect that's going to do much, but that was promised. Promises made, promises kept. They also do this, they did this Shark Tank-like video. But 14 days ago, well, that's not that important either. It's a gold stock they're buying, gold company. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think they're going to catch a huge opportunity, particularly in the Middle East. If I had financial backing, that's where I would go to do it, a gold offering. A company that can offer gold. GiveBucks details $212 million strategic investment, commits $212 million to an asset-based investment vehicle. That's almost a month ago. Almost a month ago. So here's what happens in our modern day Wall Street. The CEOs have to tell you they made a promise to somebody. It's like, you know, you're going to go to the homecoming dance with one of the cheerleaders, and you tell your buddies, hey, I'm going with, you know, the one that the quarterback's not going with, going the number 2. Roy Lee's taking Pam. I'm taking, wow. All right, so you say that, but no one believes it. No one believes it. No one believes it. When you show up and you're in the king's court or whatever the hell it's called, you're there, you know, the big, then they know. And that's what the SEC makes CEOs do. You've got to tell them you have a promise. Well, then the criminals get into action. All right, let's push this as far as we can. No one cares. We got the cops. We got Congress. Our biggest buddies, they own the media. Our really big buddies own the Treasury Department, the DTCC. We own the, what do you call it? The transfer agent system, but it's the other ones. The CompuServes, we own it all. So let's start selling. That's the only thing we know how to do. We'll start selling. Why do they do it? Because they want to bust the agreement. They want to bust the agreement. What's different here, I think, this isn't MULN, this isn't CHRS, this isn't Root, this isn't Jeremy Frommer, this isn't, you know, I need some proof, oh, it's okay. This isn't collective audience, this isn't logic. This is, it started offshore and it's still offshore. The initial rumors was it was a Goldman Sachs construct. That's how we all heard it together in December. So I don't think driving, if you extrapolate the deal they announced, give Bucks details $212 million investment. Today announced the intended sale, the intended sale. Well, the criminals say, let's see if we can bust that up, boy. Let's see what we can do. Our toolbox is illegal, but we got a pass. We have a pass all the way up to Goldman Sachs, all the way up to Stevie Cohen, all the way up to Ken Griffin, all the way up to Gary Gensler. We have a pass. So let's see if we can bust that. Well, if you do the arithmetic, 30%, 212 million, it's a $700 million market cap. Is the company worth that? We don't know all the facts. We don't know. But the CEO sells the idea to an investor, but they come together. They make the agreement. The SEC requires that the CEO and the investor both drop their drawers and cough in public so that the shorts can laugh at them. And maybe the deal never gets consummated. That's what the shorts do every single time. Every single time. It's unfair and it should be stopped. But that's why they're trying to sell it down. They want to destroy the deal. Now, it's, you know, a guy like A guy like Brent's son could not sell to a group of CEOs, 6, 7, 8 of them, as he promised in press releases. He didn't have the salesmanship to say, together we thrive, separately we hang. He couldn't do it. He didn't have the salesmanship. And maybe he didn't have the financial backing. I don't know. So he gave away logic to the first group that said, attaboy, good job, Brent. You did a great job. You're such a great guy. Let me pick you up in a Rolls Royce. You are a great, great guy. We'll sign this. It's beautiful. Aubrey's beautiful. The guy from Aubrey's from Persia and lives in Switzerland, and the company you're selling to is either some murky area of Israel, Russia, Germany, Poland, but they're not really related. Just because they're set up at the same time as the SPAC, don't worry about it. Yeah, you're a great guy. It's just sign here. So he didn't have the salesmanship. The CEO at Collective Audience, powerful guy. He didn't have the salesmanship. He didn't set up that deal with Aubrey Advisors, but he signed the at-the-money transaction with Aubrey. All they have to do is sell it down. Every deal's down, 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 down. Dive, 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 dive. Every single CEO that we've run into has shown he or she does not have any leadership or any salesmanship or any hard work where it's difficult. What's difficult when you have a company? What's difficult when you have a brokerage firm? What's difficult when you have a car dealership is production, sales, get on the phone, meet people, make things happen. The people in HR, the people in compliance, the people in operations, the people that are overlooking you, the sales assistants, the people coming in for training, the people that are jealous of you. It's all noise. You have to produce. These CEOs can't produce. They come in, they fill out their calendar. A guy comes in and says, attaboy, you're good, good, great, here's a check. That's not getting the job done. This time with GiveBucks, I think they've run into a different group of guys. And I think you're going to see, that this deal at 700 million is going to go through. What usually happens is big investors come in and the investor says, oh, your stock's trading at $3. I want a discount. I'm a big shit. I want a discount. They always think they're getting a special deal. Invariably, if you give a discount to an investor, the whole bloody thing comes down to that price. It always seems to happen. If you as a CEO think your stock, let's use this example. Let's use the example of finger motion, because we just lived through it. Stock's trading at 280, and as the CEO, you sign the deal at 150. Why the hell is the stock going to stay at 280? You as a CEO just told the world, my stock's worth 150. And that's the hard thing. CEOs need to tell the world, my stock is under pressure from criminal shorts. That woman on NASDAQ is worthless. The bald-headed guy at the SEC sucks. The rather large woman that oversees, so has the job of overseeing the financial community from her house position, is just reads press releases that lobbyists give her. Guys, my stock is worth 280. I'm willing to sell it to you for 250, but I'm not willing to do it at whatever the criminals illegally sell 100,000 shares to bring the price. I'm not willing to do it. If you want to come on the ride with me, come in at this price. Otherwise, there's no reason to do anything. And I think that's what's happening with GiveBucks. I think the guys in Abu Dhabi, the other offshore guys, whoever this investor are, have come in with an idea. I don't have all the details. I'm not in on it. I'm excluded. But they're saying we can make this work if we come in at $1 billion. You come in for 30%. We're going to have one of our largest investors believes in this so much, he's going to give up those shares. So we're not going to dilute shareholders. And here's our plan. Zit, 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 and zit, as my Chinese investor always said to me. You'll need to go zit, 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 zit. So anyway, they have a plan. I don't think they're going to change the price. I think this is going to fail miserably on the shorts. And so, unfortunately, the current laws of full disclosure make it incumbent on the CEO to put his ass on the line and stand there with his dick in his hands for a month, trying to hold an agreed price together while the criminals in the darkness, cowardly, criminally obviously, sell the stock that doesn't exist to drive the price down. And what CEOs are incapable of doing, hey, your computer shows that finger motion is 280, but the guys at Anson Funds just sold 10,000 shares, 20,000, 30,000 shares, and brought it all the way down to 140. Why is that the value? Why is that the price of my company? The 280 was real buying, real price discovery, fighting the shorts, but now in a air pocket of criminal selling. All of a sudden, my whole company's worth a third less. This is the joke of the U.S. financial markets. It is a joke. It is set up for Steve Cohen, whoever the hell runs Goldman Sachs, Blankenfield or something, Fink and Black and Griffin. Ultimately, it's set up for those guys. And then it trickles down to groups of attorneys who are rich beyond belief because they're comfortable with looking the other way and lying. And then people like the prima donna woman on NASDAQ, she gets $2.5 million a month to prance around. I'm a powerful woman. I'm a powerful woman on Wall Street. But she doesn't do anything. What does she do with that power? What does she do with her power? Does she settle the trades? Does she look out for her CEOs? Does she educate herself on what an at-the-market offering is and that it uses derivatives? Does she ever wonder why thousands of companies earn their way through hard work, good ideas, and teams to get on the NASDAQ? And hundreds of companies every year she delists? She have any curiosity on that? Is that how she uses? The only way she uses her power is put more useless women on boards. Come in with their drama. Not that men are all great either. There's a lot of drama with men. And it's not about women. It's about promoting women en masse without experience, without training, without proving themselves. Who the hell said the greatest thing to do would be to put Carly Fiona in charge of HWP or put that other chick in charge of Yahoo? or put just the whole list. It's a big experiment. Feels good. I know we were taught in school, future is female. But this is what, anyway, let's not get off track. This is what, whatever her name is, Adina Friedman, this is her focus. Equality of boards. That's how she chooses to use her power. She's the 5th most powerful woman on Wall Street. She's just a poor excuse of buying off one of the most important exchanges in the world. So people like A. Stevie Cohen, or A. Moez Kassam, or A. Ken Griffin, or A. Blankenfeld, whatever his name is, can hire bird dogs like Easton and Kramer and Rubenstein to go out, ensnare CEOs, destroy and steal entire market caps. I'm the most powerful woman on Wall Street. Wow. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sure there's men who don't do their job. I'm sure there are. I've worked for, I actually can't think of any men in the that had the job. I can't think of any of them that didn't do their job. I just thinking through the whole, there was one guy. All right, I thought of one guy. He's a big blowhard. We went up to see him in New York, a friend of mine with a funny sense of humor. There was a bookshelf of books, all the books you should read. And as we stood up, my friend Jim said to the regional manager, that's the guy, he said, Tim, you ever read any of those? None of them had been read. Anyway, so I don't want to totally get off the track on the women. So I think with Give Bucks, I'm not saying that it's risk-free. I think the price is extremely high, and there's a lot of moving parts. It feels like an effort to pull strings on the long side to tell the shorts to go pound stand. But so there's a lot of things that have to work the right way. But I think Give Bucks at $3 is a good bet for a short squeeze. Speculative bet. I think your risk is it goes to $1, and your reward is it goes to, I'll use my number, $144. But what are you waiting for? While the criminals can sell non-existent stock, destroying price discovery, destroying the story, making it hard for normal CEOs to keep the deal together. Brent Sun wasn't able to do it with Logic. He had 8 deals. He couldn't keep them together. It's tough. Jeremy Frommer could have sold his company for $3. Now, with the further view of 2 years later, maybe he sensed something, I don't know. But he asked for $5. And they said, piss off, buddy. But he would have been the CEO. Then we would have had an honest CEO, But it's tough to keep deals together. It's very difficult. And the shorts know this. They have all the advantages. In the case of Give Bucks, about a month ago, they announced this intention. And it's about time for them to say, we did it. And I think that could come at any time. Doesn't mean it will. Doesn't mean it will. Maybe the shorts win again. But that's your bet. Risk 3, make 100. That's your gamble. Now on Nixie, I won't go through that whole Nixie's had that guy with the short shorts, I guess Brent, and now this guy Miles. So they've had 3 CEOs, or sort of, over the last few months. So they're getting their footing. But the guy with the short shorts ran the company called Recruiter.com, and he obviously took bad financing. He obviously couldn't get his way out of a paper bag, like most CEOs. Look, I have sympathy for CEOs. They should be able to rely on the SEC, but the SEC sucks. Adina Friedman sucks. Back offices suck. NASDAQ sucks. OTC sucks. So as a CEO, you've got to look at that and say, what do I have to do? Anyway, there is pent up from Recruiter.com. There's a lot, there could be a large short position in Nixie. Have they had time to move it around, move it offshore, put it in one of Ken Griffin's warehouses, light a match to it? I don't know, but we'll find out. So they announced, they announced a lot of things. I'll go backwards. 16 days ago, they appointed a guy. 20 days ago, they gave an update on progress in AI. 23 days ago, they purchased a couple of companies. 26 days ago, Nixie's revenues began. Not big, but they started. A month ago, they purchased something from Wisco. And they also, a month ago, withdrew some regulatory filing, doesn't matter. And then a month ago, additionally, they announced they're going to buy back 10 million shares over time. And a month ago, they outlined their strategic growth strategy and plans. Also a month ago, they announced a up to $120 million AI reciprocal telecommunications service agreement with a global technology partner. This is Nixie's subsidiary, RLAIF AI, announces up to $120 million in AI-enabled reciprocal telecommunications services agreement with a global technology provider. Also a month ago, they acquired some telecom assets, and they're expanded into a bloody large market. Let me see if there's a list of further news. Yeah, okay. Here's the one I was looking for. The next one, it was February 19th. So that's 2 months ago, 60 days ago. Nixie expects to complete an undisclosed acquisition by month end. And when you look into that, they talk about withdrawing their crypto deal. All right, there's not much on this page. Let's see if there's just one sentence I can read to you. No, that's just the withdrawn. Story continues. Okay, they didn't. Maybe I hit the wrong one. Well, the headline says Nixie expects to complete an undisclosed acquisition by month end, and it withdraws the Bitcoin financing. The story just talks about the Bitcoin financing. Anyway, all of these news stories, and that one in particular, unless I'm misreading it, we're still waiting for the follow-on. While the criminals can short the stock, as I've described to your boredom, we're waiting for the completion of these deals. I think that those kind of announcements are imminent if you consider a fortnight soon. Nixie twice before ramped up on 50 million in volume a day. And I think that's what we're going to see in Nixie again. Could it be tomorrow? Could it be next week? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks? We don't know. But I think we're getting close to the next energy applied to Nixie. And I think your risk reward in Nixie, you're paying $1.60. I mean, if you don't act, if you never sold, you just sat there and didn't do anything. I suppose if everything went badly for the company and and they really used bad judgment and you never sold, I suppose over a 2 or 3 year period, it could be, another nightmare MULN or something. I don't expect that to happen to you or to me. I think Nixie is much more, for me anyway, you can treat it whatever way you want to. It's much more a trade. And I think from 160, if things turn crappy, maybe your risk is down to $1, give or take, if you had to sell. So maybe you're risking a third of your money, 40% of your money on the downside if everything went really dark right away. But what's the upside? I think because of the price where Nixie is now, I think Nixie has an excellent chance to get kick-started again. I don't know what word to use. Just all things line up, buyers come in, energy shows up, and the stock all of a sudden is doing all this volume. I think that's going to happen at least one more time. And I think Nixie will go to 6 or 8, maybe 10. From $1.60, that's 3 times your money, 4 times your money. It's not bad. That's what I think that's your kind of targeted upside. If you get lucky, if I get lucky with you, it breaks through. Maybe it goes to 20. Maybe it goes to, maybe you get 10x. Maybe you get 15x. Maybe you get 20x on it in a trade. Now, if the news comes out and you decide that you want to keep it, that's a whole different decision. I think GBUX is a trade. I think Nixie is a trade. I think both are imminent. I wouldn't want to hold them forever. GBUX at 330. I think it could go to $1 if it turned to shite. But you would be selling on the way down as soon as it started the volume and it's selling and it's like, get me out. But yeah, that's your downside risk. Lose half your money. Your upside on GBUX, I agree. I happen to agree with Ham on this, that the shorts look like they're trapped. Could I be wrong? Sure, I could be wrong. I think GBUX could give you, it's possible it could go to $300 a share, but I'd rather target, let's just say, 150 to 100, you know, and you shouldn't own it that whole time. You should be getting out as it goes up. And then Nixie, I just gave you my risk rewards. Finger, I think, is about to double. It won't be, well, it could be pretty quick, actually. Could be pretty quick. But I don't think it's going to do one of those moon rockets from there. But I don't know. That's all news dependent. That's all buyer dependent. Finger cautiously looks like a time to tip some more money in. And then finally, Railtown. Let me just give you the news on Railtown from 2 months ago. Railtown is trading at 29 cents. I'm going to use Yahoo as my source. It's a lot of news. Let's start at the bottom of the page and work up. 6 months ago, Railtown launches large-scale customer acquisition campaign in preparation of SOC compliance, apparently a highly sought-after accreditation. 6 months ago, Railtown AI participates in the Developer Productivity Engineering Summit. It's important, I guess. Railtown achieves SOC 4 months ago. Railtown AI achieves SOC 2 Type 2 compliance certification. Huge. That is the gold standard, apparently. 4 months ago, Railtown announces European marketing agreement, which is basically we're going to, two different companies. I'm doing it by memory. We're going to promote your stock. We're going to tell people about your stock. And we've got buyers, and this is what we do for a living. 4 months ago, Railtown announces a non-brokered private placement, so they had enough money to get through without doing a toxic deal. They closed it. 4 months ago, Railtown AI is accepted into the Advanced Micro Devices Partner Network in order to accelerate AI-driven innovation. 4 months ago, Railtown AI to present at the best of all conferences, the AI in BC demo night. 4 months ago. 4 months ago, because of that presentation, Railtown AI joins AI Partnerships Corporation affiliate network 4 months ago. 2 months ago, Railtown AI Technologies announces MOU to acquire AI Partnerships Corp. Wow, that happened fast. You had me from hello. So 2 months ago, they announced this. What are the negatives? The negatives. MOU implies it needs financing. It's not finalized. So what do the criminals do? So let's see if we can bust this deal. See if we can bust the deal. But Railtown has a team of people who have done these deals before. They've lined up the information. They've shined the shoes, put the tie on, put a hat on it, gave the overcoat, and sold the company. And they know how to do it. And we're in the 2 month wait period on that. Are they going to sell the company? I don't know. That's what I thought they were going to do. They are now going to acquire this company, which has 160 AI companies within it. In the press release, they're going to do a roll-up strategy, acquiring these revenue-producing companies. It's a terrific thing. So why is the stock not going up if it's so good? No research? No brokers selling the idea to their clients. No wealth advisors telling their clients to buy it. No institutional buying. No money. Darn it. Investment funds, mutual funds buying. No family office buying. None of the clients at Canaccord Genuity can buy it. None of the insiders at Railtown are buying any more shares right now. All of the insiders at the 160 companies, or the ones that are closely involved in this transaction, they can't buy. None of them can buy. It's a quiet period. They can't buy. So the stock has come down from 38 cents, 40 cents, down to as low as 25 cents. Today it sits at 29 cents. We had the crash in the market recently. We had that DeepSeek AI scare out of China that might be a fraud, might be real, who knows. We had NVIDIA, as Ham calls it, IPO one of their divisions. I think they got, I can't remember, they got 15 billion instead of 20 billion in the offering, and the valuation was down, I don't know, I can't remember, you can look it up. It was haircut by 15 or 20%. Still a huge valuation. But we've gone through all of that. So what are we waiting for? Well, it sounds like this is a pretty big deal. They're acquiring a partnership group whose plan was to roll up these companies into the Death Star of venture capital driven AI companies. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but they're going to bring this group together and make it big. And they're now going to do it around the technology that Railtown developed. And it's huge, but we wait. There's got to be something wrong. It's taking so long. Why is it taking so long? Well, my only two comments on Railtown. One, if the deal had gone bust, the stock would be 10 cents, 15 cents, 5 cents. So yes, it's down, but it's not collapsed. Secondly, I just told you, all those people who probably, if they really believe in the story, probably want to get in early, they can't buy it until the news is finalized. But the criminals can short the stock without a press release. They can collude. They can meet at Harry's Bar. They can meet at the gymnasium. They can meet at weddings, and they can come up with codes and signals, and they can sell stock that doesn't exist. They can do it all day long because the banks benefit from it. They're in on it. So we're just in that period. And I think when we get the news on Railtown, my prediction, pain for the shorts. But I'm not making Railtown a short squeeze play. It's possible, but I'm not going to tell you it based on that. What's your risk? Railtown, I think, is an investment if you want it to be. But if you're doing it as a trade, and I have my small IRIS, so I have a little, and it'll be a trade. I think Railtown's risk, you pay 29 cents. If the deal takes longer to get approved, maybe it drifts back down to that 25, 26 cents. That's one downside target. If the merger with AI partnerships for some reason blows up, and maybe the shorts have won because they can't agree the amount of shares, again, that's their whole strategy. I don't know that it goes much lower than that. But if I had to pick just a dire, oh my gosh, the end of the world, you know, maybe it spikes down to, I don't know, 15 cents, 20 cents. And I do think the company will recover very quickly. The stock will recover quickly because the guy's running. If I'm talking about the dire, I don't think this is going to happen. But if for some reason the deal broke up, they divorced. Railtown has an excellent product called Conductor. They're the first to move. They own it. They're in all the platforms, Microsoft, AMD, NVIDIA, and it's self-learning. It is a tool that takes teams of people down to just 1 or 2 people, takes months of work down to hours, and every company needs it. It's a multi-100 billion and growing marketplace. And I think any sell-off will snap right back. The guys running the company know how to dress it up and sell it. But if you want a downside risk on buying Railtown, I think it's minimal. In every scenario I can come up with, your risk to the downside in Railtown is just very small. In the darkest, somehow this deal breaks up. Yeah, you'd probably have a spike as everyone gets disgusted. But if you hold on, if you don't sell, you miss out, you hold on. I think the principals will get the stock back to 40 cents, 50, 60 cents. In the boring, we'll just do it how we intended in the first place. And they'll still get the stock sold for $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 a share, in my opinion. So I see very little downside in Railtown. What's the upside? I think if they finally can just finish this news that they announced 2 months ago, I think you could see Railtown open up 10x. That's my prediction. Haven't heard it anywhere else. But I think anything that makes this worth 80 cents, anything that makes it worth $1, anything makes it worth $3, probably makes it worth $5. But I'll pick that number. It goes to $3.50 once the news comes out. All the pent-up demand, and I think it'll do it very quickly. All right, those are my stocks. Let me see what your comments are. I'll go back. I'll go in reverse order. So now what? No problem buying Finger at Schwab today. Well, this is a I don't know why I'm so worked up. So I'll try to calm down. This is I'm just not able to describe it to you guys. People get upset about MMTLP. Obviously, I lost a lot of money in that. But they don't stop and think it through. They have all the information there. The shorts are trapped as well. But somehow that's MMTLP. It's not. It's the whole bloody market. The whole bloody market. So if we're talking about finger motion, when I first heard the story about finger motion, there were something like 4 million or 6 million shares short, which was huge. It's a huge number based on the float at that time. Then they did the deal with Jeff Easton. And then the stock ran up. Jeff Easton or Anson Funds hired either directly or through proxy Lou, Frank, and Gus, and they stopped what I consider the squeeze in place. And then I personally witnessed on FINRA's own data, on their website 100 million shares sold in 10 days that couldn't exist. Now, the apologist for the system who used to work at the NIXX, oh, you don't know that. He's a nice guy. But he's like, you don't know that the Chinese might be sending shares to cover those trades, or later in the day the shares were bought back. Well, then how did they sell them in the first place? Oh, they're good clients. It's incredible what the human being can do to not see what is right in front, in my case, of their giant nose. It's right there. So it's an irrelevancy. So now what? It's irrelevant that you could buy the shares at Schwab. It's irrelevant to the distress shown by finger motion not being allowed to be purchased at Fidelity. It's an irrelevancy. What happens? What happens? Well, go back to MMTLP. That 100 million shares that I saw sold in 10 days that did not exist was sold through market makers. The money goes to prime brokers who hold it in their accounts. They're working with the shorts, or they're looking the other way. But who's buying those shares? Who bought those 100 million shares? Guys like you and me. You bought them at Schwab. Other people buy them at Fidelity. I happen to use E-Trade, which is now Morgan Stanley. So we pay our real hard hold cold cash to buy shares from the brokerage firm that acts as our agent. They're liars too. They're supposed to ask for delivery. They don't ask for delivery. They're all in on it. They don't want to lose their jobs. They don't say anything. But that 100 million shares, so now what? Those trades exist, or at least for a period of time. I'm now convinced, as time goes by, look at Alpine, look at the warehouse that Ken Griffin had burned, the rumor is, up in Chicago when the feds got close. Look at offshore trading out of Europe where they don't even keep records. Look at Ann Wagner, who doesn't even want a consolidated audited trail because she thinks it's going to violate your privacy. If she does any thinking at all. She knows when you walk into a train station, modern, when you walk into an airport, modern, when you drive on highways, modern, the computers are collecting all the information about you. When you use your credit card, when you use Venmo, when you use your cell phone, when you talk into the space on your cell phone, the computers are collecting all the data. What the hell is she talking about? She gets paid off. She gets paid off. She's as corrupt as a Roman senator. So now what? You bought your shares through Schwab. I bought my shares through E-Trade. Martin Shen buys his shares through Fidelity. So what, conceptually, where are we? We've paid cash. Our cash is either with another seller or it's in the prime brokerage accounts awaiting delivery of those shares, if they even bother to follow those rules. Shares got sold. You have an entry in your account, and for some reason, you cannot accept, even though MMTLP got caught, the shorts got caught. And it's not just you, it's me too. I'm human. We're all human. We open our phones. Hey, I got the shares. We get our statement in the mail. Hey, it says I have the shares. We go online. Hey, there's those shares again. They're in my account. I have them. I call in. Do I have shares? You've got them, sir. Wow, I have my shares of Finger. But we all do that. We know the system is corrupted, and all a giant marshmallow by MMTLP. Yet, we still feel, hey, I can buy it at Schwab. Everything's cool. Everything's copacetic. And that is all good until it falls apart. I've tried to explain it. My opinion, I should write about it so that it's in writing somewhere. Been talking about it for 2 or 3 years. In my opinion, maybe overly educated, probably overdrank and under attended. They're just imitating the fractional reserve banking system. And I Googled it, by the way, this morning. Do you know, since COVID, there is no reserve requirement anymore in the United States. So, what the hell? And that's essentially where we are with the securities market too. They just don't tell you. I think they have an obligation to tell you, but they don't tell you. So, what does it mean? You can buy shares at Schwab. What does that mean? What relevance does it have? All it means is that they maintain, they being the system, the banks, the hedge funds, the handful of white men that do this. There's only probably, I'm guessing, there's only probably 50 men in the world that understand what's going on. And then the people, the underlings they hire. So once you bring in the lawyers and the liars and the bird dogs and some of the people that are paid to be quiet, I can't imagine it's much bigger than the entourage of a professional football team, or the list of men that Kim Kardashian's gone out with, or Meghan Markle. It's not a big group of people in the scheme of things that understand what they're doing. People know little parts of it, but everyone has faith in the system. That system doesn't exist anymore. So what's going on? On the 100 million shares that got sold, we don't know which market makers. I don't remember them. There was a handful of them. We don't know which prime dealers. We have a feeling we know it's Jeffries, but we don't know. But we know people bought at TradeStation, Webull, so there's, let's say, a dozen different places people bought the shares. What does it mean that Fidelity stopped allowing the purchase of finger motion? It means that Fidelity has a problem. It doesn't mean the whole system has a problem yet. What could Fidelity's problem be? It used to be that when you purchase shares, you could buy them in your name, or you could buy them on margin. By definition, if you bought them on margin, those shares are in street name. So if you're working with Schwab, you buy your shares in the past and you put them in a margin account. They're in the street name of Charles Schwab for the benefit of, it doesn't say that at the DTCC. It just says Chucky Schwab. And then Chucky Schwab on their bookkeeping has delineated for the benefit of, so now what? But those shares are in one block of stock in the name of Chuck Schwab. That's where it used to be if they were margin. Well, those are kept in a vault up in New York. Simultaneously, Chucky Schwab used to keep a vault where it said these shares are in type 1. They're in my customer's name directly, so I will keep those shares in safekeeping. They're in the name of, so now what? That's how it used to be. And you could give instructions. I want all of my shares of Finger in my type 1 account. I only want my shares of Exxon and Ford Motor in my margin account. You used to be able to do that. And I would enter it, call, write it out, put it in an overnight package that we reused over and over and over again. And you would call me back, did you get that done? And I could say to you, I could buy time. It'd be true. I'd say, well, I don't know. I put it in, but it's not in New York yet. It's got to go by the overnight, and that hasn't gone out yet. It'll get there tomorrow, and they should get it done right away, but it's with New York. Now everything's so fast. Everything's so quick that you could call in, get it done, and it shows up right away. But what happened around Obama's time? The guy, the new FDR that turned out to be Herbert Hoover, although probably Hoover wasn't as bad as Obama. They took away the type 1. There is no type 1. There's only type 2. Further, they took away your ability to deposit shares as a right, as an automatic. You used to bring your certificates in. You could call me and say, I want to sell my shares. Okay, boom, I know you, boom, just get them in by Friday. You could bring them in by Friday, just like you brought in a check. That's all gone now. I don't even know, there used to be a medallion signature required in some cases, but in most cases, as it used to be, you just signed the back of the certificate. I always told people don't. I'd have them sign a stock power, and it was overnighted to New York. Everything's fine. That's how it used to be. Now you can't do that. They took it even a further step. So now what? They took it so far that your shares must be, for lack of the better word, in electronic form through CompuServe, through one of these big agencies. If you pay cash, it's done automatically. But if you have a certificate at home, it's going to cost you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to get those certificates in electronic form. And if you can't easily prove where you got those certificates, it's going to take you 60, 70, 90 days at this one firm that over-the-counter markets recommends out of California, a guy named Justin or Jake or Julian or something like that. I talked to him in my case. He'll make the market for you, which means it'll be a bad market. And he's going to do research for a few $1,000s. You open the account and you have to deliver it to him. You have to sell or buy the stock with a wide spread and get screwed. And there's commissions on top of that. So what they've done, so now what, is they've made it mandatory that not only are your shares that you buy in margin, they're in type 2, they're in street name. They don't even exist anymore. There is electronic as your paycheck. There is electronic as your payment system using Apple Pay. That's what they've designed. And to get out costs money, to get back in is hell. So everybody's going to stay in. So then they can use their computers, their algorithms, their study of human behavior, law of large numbers. Okay, finger motion has, I'm making it up, 1,500 shareholders. 20% of the shareholders own 80% of the stock. And most of those are insiders. So using this formula that the computers have come up with, we would expect that on any given day, the odds of somebody coming in and asking for physical shares is 0.00001 risk. So they know no one's going to ask for physical shares. There's no risk of that anymore. So what can they do? They can sell stock that doesn't exist, take your money, put an entry in your account that says you own the shares, and for all intents and purposes, the computers believe you own the shares. But on the other side of it, they don't ask for delivery. Compliance doesn't cover. There's no systems in place. Every now and then there's trouble because it does cost money. You do have to maintain the maintenance amount of each share. Every now and then a squeeze might start. They do happen. My opinion, they're by surprise, and it's when the prime broker's losing money. And they're scared they're going to lose a lot more. So what becomes of as everyone says, where are the real shares? Are there real shares in my account? There's not. No, it's all electronic. It's all a puff of smoke. Where are the physical shares? They're at the DTC, which is corrupt. DTC. There's a certificate for 10 million shares to Chuck Schwab. There's a certificate of 5 million shares to Fidelity. There's a certificate of 2 million shares to Morgan Stanley. Each of them say for the benefit of their clients on down below. Fidelity was in trouble in GTI last time. Fidelity is one of the firms that apparently has the most exposure to MMTLP. And it looks like Fidelity's in trouble with finger motion. They can't use the excuse, hey, we didn't know, Your Honor, because they got in trouble 3 years ago. So what can it mean? Mean that Fidelity is uncomfortable, that inside that let's certificate at the DTC finger motion. That's it's real, but it's the basis of the fiction. Maybe, and maybe they have some systems in place now, I doubt it, that there's 50 million shares of finger motion out to their clients. So they have 5 million for the benefit of 50 million. That's Fidelity, and I made those numbers up. But at Chucky Schwab, he might have 10 million for the benefit of 11 million. And he feels okay with that. Okay, that's just the course of business. We'll keep accepting the orders. That's fine. We're not out of whack. But Fidelity might be really out of whack. And then it becomes a comfort level. Do we want to keep accepting orders to buy, because we're buying those shares, when we only have 1/10 of our existing inventory? We only have 1/10 of it at the DTCC. So what it means is Fidelity is under stress. Fidelity does not want to accept a promise to deliver, which is never going to occur, because they are feeling the stress of being overextended. Schwab's not. Schwab doesn't know about it. They don't communicate with each other. So Fidelity's going to scramble. That's the whole point. Fidelity's going to scramble to try to contain this problem. And one way is don't let any more people buy the shares. And we're going to see if we can run this off. Let's try to get it down to, instead of 10 to 1, let's see if we can get it down to 5 to 1. Let's see if we can get it down to 2 to 1. My guess is they'll start accepting trades again pretty soon. Nothing seems to work in our favor very long. So the fact that Fidelity is in trouble doesn't mean every other brokerage firm is in trouble. The system relies on the fact that 100% of the so-called real shares are not going to be asked for at the same time. And because when any of us put our shares into Wall Street, we can't have them in our name. They're going to turn them into hypothecated shares and rehypothecated shares and rehypothecated shares. Basically, as Pat Burns said, Goldman Sachs is a stock loan department with the name of an investment bank on the door. How does it work? If they get the assets in, their sophisticated computers can run risk analysis of how far How much can we get away with? How much can we get away with before we get in trouble? They just leveraged it up. And that's what happened. That's what's happened to Finger. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it. Hey, Blue 5. Benjamin, I pray G-Bucks goes first. Yeah, G-Bucks. I don't know, I'm trying to think of those 4 stocks. Any of the 4 could go first. I think Finger's behaving really nicely, so I feel like something's going on at Finger. The stock is acting. It's making you watch anyway. Railtown's not acting like anything's happening tomorrow morning, but that could change on a dime. G-Bucks sucks. It's been down day after day. It's crushed. So to me, it doesn't look all that great. However, I agree with him. It's the shorts are trapped. And that could change in a minute in G-Bucks. I think what's a logical. Well, let's go back to Finger. What's a logical thing that could just suddenly make it go much higher than I'm expecting? Obviously, buyers. What would bring in buyers, I think, is if an announcement came out of the blue that Finger had a benefactor, for lack of a better word. They had a joint venture partner. They had a major new shareholder, something like that. That could happen. They do a deal above the market. That's what's got to start happening. Deals of investment. There are no investment bankers down here. You need investment bankers telling the world Finger Motion is worth more than it's trading for, and do a deal for more than it's trading for. We need real price discovery again. Something unexpected, buying that's because of an unexpected announcement. Otherwise, I think you have to wait for the annual report, which is 5 weeks away. In Railtown, they need to finish this acquisition. I think could come any day. Could come any day. My opinion is if it is finished this week, for example, it's good news. They'll wait till Monday, because I just think companies always wait to the beginning of the week, or if it's next week. If it's Monday or Tuesday, great. If it's Wednesday, okay. But if it's Thursday or Friday, they'll wait till the next week. So Railtown, it would be that they finally opaquely get the deal done. Why not? I have no idea, but it could come at any time. So that brings us to G-Bucks. I think what we're waiting for in G-Bucks is they finalize that $212 million deal. It's the most obvious thing to me. And it comes out, hey guys, we got it done. This is our cap table, and we're ready. We're ready to roll. So I think that could come at any day. Could come tomorrow. Could come over the weekend. And then what's the other one? Oh, Nixie. Nixie has some more moving parts, but it essentially has that same story. They have, as I read all those press releases, they owe us a description of an acquisition. And we're just waiting. And once that comes out, buyers can act. And again, I think it could be any day. So all 4 stocks have the potential of having something spark at any minute. If I had to put it, Benjamin, in an order of which one is going to show life first right now, and I always move them around. Right now, I think it's Nixie first, GBU fourth. So I would go Nixie soonest, GBUX next, Railtown next, and finger motion last. That's how I see it. So I think Nixie's going to go before go. And when I say go, I don't want any big implication that it's going to go to the bloody moon. I'm just saying there's going to be activity in it. GBUX volume has been above average. They are really selling every day to keep it down. Well, I don't know if they're running out of steam or it's the same thing. Their prime brokers are telling them, hey, we can't extend this much credit. Their bookie is saying, I can't give you that much credit. You got to pay up. And according to him, with GBUX, it's 1 or 2 really small shorts out of Boca Raton or one of those Florida retirement places for the snowbirds. And this is where the shorts hang out. And it used to be the anyway, a long time ago. It doesn't matter what it used to be. But I hope you're right. I hope you're right that they're running out of steam. I think they're sponsored, and I think they'll, be able to keep going for a while. But the other part of what you're saying, I do agree with. I think there's buying. That's going to eventually, they can't hold it down. And if GBUX is able, unlike any other CEO we know about, is able to get the investor to go through with the price they agreed, 30% of the company. I mean, if it happened right now on where the shorts have the stock, it would probably be 60, 70% of the company. That's what they want to do. They want any good news to be meaningless per share. It's a brilliant strategy. I mean, it's simple. It's only brilliant in the sense that they control the cops. But it's almost flawless. But I think in the case of GBUX, they're going to get their ass handed to them. We'll see. I would have told you 2 weeks ago, GBUX should be ready to announce the whatever they're waiting on last week. So is it going to be tomorrow? I'd probably say it's unlikely. Friday, unlikely. Next week, unlikely. I think May's our month on GBUX. But I think April might be, let me just look at the calendar. April might be Nixie's start. But it looks like it's going to be May for all of these things. It's not much further to wait, but I'm tired of waiting. I don't know about you. My head pounds every night thinking about it, and it's just mind-numbingly dull to talk about it. And I'm sure same on your end. It's frustrating. But I hope you're right, Benjamin. I hope you're right. Let's see what Gerald says. I don't think the deal will be finalized until after the dividend has been issued. That's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. There's another side of that. It's another side of that. If the guy has 30% of the company, I mean, it goes both ways. The investor agrees to stand by his word for 30%, but the company can't change the price either to the better. It's both sides. It's a two-way street. It's only fair. But I would think that the guy that getting 30% would want to get, and this is positive, by the way, he would want to get the deal done prior to the dividend, so he could get 10% dividend on his stock. So he could maintain his relative ownership of the company. So I actually take your point. You have a good point, but I take it, I'll take the other side of that. I'll say that it gives an incentive to get the deal done prior to the dividend. What did the dividend say? Everything's so slow. Where's the news? Oh, I can't read it. I don't know. I don't remember what the dividend said, what the time frame was, and it's not showing up on my thing. I moved my finger position to G-Bucks. Should I sell half of my G-Bucks? I don't know. Do what you think, but see how you feel about it in the morning. I don't. There's a wild card to finger. There's a wild card to finger, which Ham has said live several times, that there might be something big coming, and he's used different descriptions. So that's the wild card. I have no knowledge one way or the other. So if something like that happened, that would be frustrating to miss. But I think, Benjamin, the way I would look at it, I don't think moving back and forth all the time is always the right way to do it, but it's okay. It's okay to do it. I just think you have to be careful. You have to know that whenever you're out of a stock, that's when it goes up. Whenever you're in it, that's when it goes down. What I think with finger, I don't. You're probably going to have to buy it back higher, but that's not really the issue. We've got you got to. We all do. I have to tell myself this too. It's if you have to buy your finger motion back at $2, it's not really the relevant question. I mean, obviously it's part of it. The real question is, can I buy back my original position, the same number of shares? That's the real thing. So I don't know how many shares you're talking about, but I think finger can go to. I'm trying to do it by memory, sort of $182, which is where it is. Feels like that's where it is. Where did it close? So anyway, Benjamin, there's no correct answer. Okay, it closed at 158, after hours 165. A Roth report coming out, we're just making guesses, but I don't think a Roth report's going to come out with a target much higher than 2.25, 250. And it might just come out market neutral and not give a target. So I wouldn't get all anxious about that. On the other hand, like I said, there's this wild card. So if Roth Capital knows something and they do a financing, and it jump starts, but no, I wouldn't panic back over to finger. As much as we want it to squeeze, and we there's a lot of momentum behind it, the odds are that Martin Shen will do a banking deal with Roth Capital to raise money. That's the odds. That's at least 50% odds, 60, 70% odds. And I don't think the stock's they're not going to do the deal at much higher than where it is right now. Last time the stock was 280, Roth Capital brought it down to $1.50 to get the deal done. So I'm not sure I'd make I don't think I'd sell half going back and trying to. I don't think that's what I would do. It's risky. It's a risk. But here's the thing. I'm not saying to be in G-Bucks forever. There's others out there that'll tell you it's going to be a huge stock and it's got all this potential. I'm willing to believe Ham's target in a squeeze. I think he said $150. That makes sense. But my number 144, but that would be the highest. That would be the dream. Let's just try to come up with a number of what G-Bucks should be worth. I mean, it's all nonsense calculations because we don't know anything about what the company does. And what metrics and We'll learn it. All right, 329, it closed. Has a market cap of 300 million. Do you see what the criminals are trying to do? The investor wants to put 212 in. If they can get this down to 200 million, it becomes 50%, maybe becomes the agreement. It's not going to happen, I don't think, here. So let's not talk about it anymore. It's just what they try to do. I just want to see how many shares there are. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. I can't find out how many shares there are. Oh, here it is. 94 million shares. Let's call it 95 million shares outstanding. And they're bringing 212 million in. If you just divide that by 95 million shares, that's 223 a share. Now, obviously, they have big plans for that money, and they're doing it at 30%, according to the news. So if we use that as the number, that gives us $7.45 per share as the target of, that's the value paid for that ownership of the stock. Now, assuming they can improve on that with the money, and they have their plans, which they've stated, they have an application, they have all this different things, you know, maybe that number becomes higher. But then let's go to the squeeze story. What I remember from Ham is the float is 1.4 million shares, and the short position is 3 million shares. And if they get in trouble and the volume's like 45,000 shares a day, and it's mostly fake volume, you know, the stock can go a lot higher. So, Benjamin, that's my long way of saying that if you sell G-Bucks right now, okay, here's the assumption I'm making for this calculation. I'm assuming the deal will go through as it's described. You can agree with that or not, but I'm going to assume the 212 million is coming in all at once, and it's coming in now, and it's coming in for 30% of the company. Okay, so just based on coming in flat, just come into the company, and they all of a sudden have $212 million sitting in their cash account. That makes each share worth $2.23 in cash once that's announced at a minimum. Well, the stock's $3.30. I'm not sure. I'm not sure selling it makes sense, unless you really think Finger's going to go this week or next week. If we assume that the money comes in, which I do, at the 30%, those shares are worth $7.45 a share, $7.50 a share. we don't know what the other announcements are, the app, the revenue, the that, the do, pop, pop. But I assume there'll be enough information out there to support the $7.50 a share. Those would be the two numbers. I would say 2.25, 750. And we know that the principals in GBucks seem to know what they're doing. They're not going to do a toxic deal. It doesn't look like. See, these are the assumptions I'm making. So I think if GBucks gets to 750, I don't see why it can't go to 10. And if it gets to 10, why can't it go to 20? And if it's at 20, it might be a rut row for the shorts. So I'm not sure I'd sell. You're in GBucks. You made that decision. I'm not sure I would sell. But if it's all the money that you have, maybe you're uncomfortable being. Look, that's my first reaction. We don't know, though, when anything happens. So maybe it's better to have 50-50 just in case. But then you minimize. Oh, God. Here's what I would do if I were you. I would expect that GBucks is going to go back to 9. Let's pick a number. That's where it went before. Just roughly, it's going to at least go back to 9. If you want to sell half of your GBucks, wait till it goes to 8 or 7, and then sell half. A good number might be 745. Sell half then. And see what finger's worth at that time. But if let's use 745 divided by 330. That's, you're going to double your money if you sell at 750. You'll roughly double your money from here. What are the odds that finger motion doubles from here over the next 2 to 3 weeks? I mean, as soon as I put a little cold water on it, it's going to happen. You realize that, because it does seem like it's breaking out from a long downward trend. But I don't. What would that be? 165 times 2, 330. That's the high end of my range of where I think finger could go before it goes into a sideways, somewhere between sort of 220 and 330, and it just does sideways for a while. I think there's a financing that has to be done. So I don't really see finger running away unless there's a big uncalculate. So what I would do, I wouldn't sell GBucks now. I would wait, see what happens. I think it's going to go back, let's say, to 8. What I might do, if you don't have any more money, I might sell some GBucks and buy the January, February, March, April, maybe the May calls. Buy the May 2s to replace your finger motion. That money's probably forfeit. I mean, the way it's gone for so long, they just expire worthless. But it might also be that if finger really takes off and goes to $4, $5, $6, $10, if you have some call options at 2, you'll get most of the move you would have gotten if you had just stayed in finger. So that might be what I would do. I might reduce my G-Bucks enough that I could buy calls equivalent to the finger that I did own. Why would I do it that way? Because I think if G-Bucks is going to move, it's going to happen within the next 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer than that. And then you'll be able to sell G-Bucks, whether it's flat, up, it just double, you might double your money in G-Bucks. You might, if we get lucky, you might be able to take G-Bucks from here to $55, $30. Who knows? I don't know. It might be the one. Odds are low. Odds are low. The rents are low, but I'm making my way back. Yeah, that's what if you're feeling like you're at risk of not being in finger, that's what I think I'd do. I'd sell just enough G-Bucks to buy some calls, the May 2s on finger, and that way you buy yourself essentially a month to see what happens with G-Bucks. I personally am not at this point telling anyone to hold G-Bucks beyond a month. I'm hoping something happens sooner. And I guess my bottom line is, why sell G-Bucks before we know what the final deal is? And we've been waiting. That final deal should be coming. You're in it. See what happens. I mean, it could go down. Those shorts will try to sell it down, I suppose. There's always a risk the deal falls apart. But if it comes out basically the way they said it, the stock should be worth $7, $8. And that might also trigger some day short covering and maybe bigger short covering. And we might be in the one we're looking for. So it's a long answer. I guess how I would do it, sell enough G-Bucks to buy enough calls to cover the finger you used to own, and then see what happens over the next 3 weeks. And sell G-Bucks for whatever, if it fizzles out, just get out of it and go back to finger. If it starts to move, sell part of it and quickly get back to finger, or let it run and see if you can have a huge home run. G-Bucks might be the one. I mean, it looks like shit, and it looks like a manipulated stock, but I have to say I agree with Ham that the shorts look like they're in trouble. Where I might differ from Ham is I think the shorts have a whole bag of tricks, and I also don't think anybody buys anybody in anymore until it starts moving so quickly that the prime brokers are afraid of losing their ass. And that could happen in G-Bucks. That could happen in G-Bucks. All right, I moved my finger to show your sense of humor. May 15th. So Benjamin, I'm going to say, although that other gentleman made a very good point, I'm going to say that we'll know the deal is done or not on G-Bucks before May 15th. Ex-dividend of, the 15th. It's not too far to wait, is it? 3 weeks? Hey, Donna. All right, so Lion of all trades thinks that moving finger to G-Bucks was the dumbest thing you could have done. I can't get a chart on G-Bucks. But I showed you my chart on finger, and I do think finger has broken out of a long downtrend. And I also think the 141 level roughly has shown it's now support. And I think finger is going to go test the 174 level by memory, which is the 200-day moving average. But I don't think, and I got to disagree with Lion, I don't think that moving to G-Bucks necessarily was the dumbest thing you ever did. Finger, though, is a you know, we've been in it so long. I mean, I can see both sides. I'm not saying Lion's opinion is wrong, but it's an opinion. Of all the stocks, all of them that we've talked about over the last 2 or 3 months, to me, the only one that has a chance to do an explosive squeeze is G-Bucks. Is that gonna happen? Low odds, very low odds. 10%, 15% odds, I don't know. That never happens in any of the stocks we're in. But I think G-Bucks, I think that's the one, if it broke out, that's the one that could surprise everybody. Nobody knows. I don't think finger's going to squeeze in the next 5 weeks. I'm not sure if finger's going to squeeze for 90 days. Doesn't mean finger won't achieve a completely new valuation in its stock price, but even there, we don't know. I think the company's going to have to raise money, and I think they have to wait till anyway, I won't go through it all over. May 16th, there was a clear double top on the daily chart for G-Bucks. All right, I can't find a chart for that. I can't find it on my, let me go to bar chart. G-Bucks is, you know, it's a bunch of things being manipulated, put together, which is what happens with every company. It's an idea, you bring deals together. Oh, I see why you say that's a double, I guess, in the 3 month, in the 5 year, in the 1 year. Yeah, I mean, Lion, I can see the, I wish I could, can I draw on this? Let me go to full chart. Oh, darn it. Okay. Can I draw on this? No idea. Is that a line? Okay, maybe that's a line. No, like that. I can't draw a line. I hate my, oh, there, up there. Is that it? No, I need to have a free account. All right. Let me just take a picture of this. so bad. You guys all know how to use your computers. I don't. All right, let me save that one. And then let me see what I can do. To here. Doesn't help. I guess I can take that picture. All right, let me just show you. Let me send these to myself and then I'll show them to you. Benjamin, they're useless probably, but I'll do it because I'm so bad at charts. Lion is much better than I am certain. Okay. So let me go. I hope I don't lose any. I might lose some messages doing this, but let me go see if I can get the two charts. Okay, let's open these up, download. Okay, back. Let me see if I can bring those up. Nope, I don't want a background. I don't want a video clip. I want this. Well, they're already here. Wow. But I don't with lions. I don't know what, everything. So the final thing I want to show you, this is like a 2-year chart. And again, my drawing is really bad, but $2 seems to be the long-term support right now. I mean, you could argue it could go to that lower number, but if you assume the deal gets done, I think $2 is the support. Why do those double tops up there have anything to do with the stock price now at 329? I don't know. Anyway, that's how I see it. But Lion's a much better technician than I am. Look, G-Bucks is purely, to my opinion, it's trying to catch the magic ride on a short squeeze, and I think has that potential. But it's complete risk. It's complete risk. I would say the next level of support is in the 2 to 3. Okay, I could be wrong. We're all could be wrong. I don't know how to share. There is a way. I know the great guy Arca did it. He would come on and he'd capture my machine and start trading and playing. He was pretty cool. Can it finally be the real finger time? I think so. But to me, yeah, I mean, Kid, I put up a chart that again is just nightmarish in its crudeness, but it's just, I don't know how to use the tools. I think this is it. Yeah, that one. And to me, that green line is horribly drawn. It needs to be higher down in the lower extremities there. But anyway, you can use your imagination. I think Finger's broken out of that long downward trend line. You know, it did a little bit before they did the financing. But I think it's done it again. Is it as dramatic as my chart shows? No, because my line is too low. But I think it's breaking out. And then it's also going to cross this 200-day moving average, which I think is huge. It's done that before, of course, as you can see. But I think once it closes that gap from the financing, that roughly that $2 range now becomes long-term support, rough $2 range, become that orange line. And I think the shorts are starting to be in trouble. And then I think the blue line broadly shows where it's going to try to go up. But I think it's going to meet some resistance. I think it's going to meet backing and filling right in there. But you can argue how bad it'll be. I just think people will, there's going to be a stall at 240, 250, 260 for a while, I think. If I'm wrong, that's really good news for everybody. And then I think $3 becomes significant. But I didn't draw a line at $3 because by the time we get there, I think all the weekends will be gone. So I don't think $3 is going to necessarily be trouble. But that's sort of, I don't know, that $4 range. I wish I'd drawn the red line all the way across to here. But you can see over on this other side of the chart, I think that $4 becomes a resistance, which then can become support. And once $4 is support, which I think is going to take a while, I don't think it's going to be quick. The stock can trade between $4 and $7 for a long time. If it breaks out of that, my eyesight's so bad, sort of that $7 range, $8 range, $9 range, you're going to have a whole different story. It could be fun. It could be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's mine. I think Finger is showing it's the real deal. I think Finger, like I just said, I think Finger is in the first stages of breaking out from a long downtrend. I mean, and it's about time. It's been pretty hard. Oh, so Lion is saying that, oh gosh. Lion is saying that G-Bucks could go down to 2, and I think that's true. I think G-Bucks, the risk is down to 2. I don't know. I don't want to be in G-Bucks forever. I want to see if it squeezes. And if it's going to squeeze, it's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Otherwise, it'll be another story, just like everybody else. That's kind of how I see it. So why be out? But anyway, I'm going back and forth with the same argument. I don't want to throw out any other tickers, not another. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think we're at that same point with Finger right now. Some things, I don't know what's going on with Finger, but the last 2 days, the volume has been significant. And the chart looks great to me. Not my chart. But the numbers on the chart. So yeah, I think Finger doubles. It gets harder. I think 320 though is going to be a top. We'll find out. Yeah, I've been burning the candle, and I haven't been sleeping that well. And thank you, Blue 5. I'm also just worn out by all this, and I think it shows up sometimes when I'm trading view. Yeah, Kid, I think Fidelity. Here, let me show you what I have. This I don't, I mean, could that be faked? I guess. Blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, this is just, right now my computer's going to spin out. There, that's hand, you know. Twitter. That's probably more, less factual. But it's good. I like it. Being very trading. I don't know what trading view is. No idea. Finger is going to 25. Yeah, I think it is eventually. Rest in peace, Lou. Definitely rest in peace, Lou. He was a good man. I think he was. He was on your side. People get annoyed when I say that he was part of this. See, I lost all the messages. Other messages. So if I missed anybody, I missed them. Now we spent all, I just don't, for some reason, I feel like I have to make progress each day. And talking about all that stuff is no progress to me. I do agree. I think finger motion is, well, who said that? Northwest. Yeah, I think it can go to 25. But I also understand Benjamin's concern that he doesn't want to miss out, that, you know, he's trying to make trades as well. We've been sitting dead in finger motion for a long time. And as I just said, maybe half an hour ago, as soon as you sell something, it goes up. As soon as you buy something, it goes down. It's very hard to, it's hard to explain, but it's almost, you ever notice when you're walking in a mall or you're walking, I don't know, down the sidewalk, or you're walking in the post office or a hallway, and there's nobody around anywhere, and there's maybe a person standing just down, her back's to you, and she's involved in something. But she's been there for everything. She's going to still be there, so you're walking by her, and it's a narrow space. It, as often as not, she can't hear you. She can't hear you. She doesn't know you're here. But as often as not, as soon as you get near her, she steps out in front of you. Or it doesn't have to be a she. It's just that person. Yeah, it's weird how as soon as you sell a stock, it goes up. As soon as you buy it, it goes down. Yeah, Lou was, that's nice of you. He might get that message, Blue 5. You were missed, Obi Lou Kenobi. Yeah, his big vision, he was right. And I think he made money for people. I do. He was trying to teach people how to trade. I don't know. I'm sure he's in a better place. You know, I read this the other day. It's just 2 paragraphs. But I want you to start thinking forward. Not tomorrow. You don't have to sell your finger yet to do it. Just start thinking about it. David Morgan's question, are mining stocks tomorrow's blue chip equities? If we take a look back in time to one of the most horrendous economic hardships that ever faced the United States, the Great Depression. By the way, it's kind of where I think, anyway, we're headed. We find that homestake mining and Dome Mines, 2 stocks, homestake mining and Dome Mines, were 2 gold producers that made their shareholders wealthy during the Great Depression. Homestake mining and Dome Mines made their shareholders wealthy during the Depression. Before Barrick Gold acquired Homestake, Homestake was one of the few original Dow holdings, Dow components. Much of today's economic commentary revolves around a large contraction in the financial landscape, blah, blah, blah. So at the peak in 1938, a $1,000 investment in Homestake grew to 6,760. So he must be saying if you bought it, he doesn't give enough information. When did you buy it? But during the next 6 years, Homestake Mining paid out a total of $128 in cash dividends. The 1935 dividend alone reached $56 a share. That was almost 70% yield payout based on 1929 in 1 year. Anyway, he's not the best English writer. But the point is that I'm trying to make is I think mining shares is what I want to start focusing on. Lion has been correct that the S&P came down massively. But my belief is you've seen the lows in the markets. You've already seen them. And everybody's talking about we're going to go lower. You've already seen them, in my opinion. And I think the Dow, the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the S&P all could go up 50% from here. It's a little high on the Dow side. But I think the Dow can go to 60,000. Anyway, I also think the metals can go up. I think all of this is going to happen. Normally the expression is sell in May and stay away. I think this summer the markets are going to be very active, and we're going to go to a blow-off top probably by October, maybe sooner. But it could take into next year. It could take into January, whatever. My ideas are not all mine, but I try to listen to a lot of different people. It's what I think's going to happen. After that, I think the market's going to crash. And So I think we're going to make blow-off tops that you've never even heard of. You can't even think of. And by the time it happens, everybody's going to be saying Donald Trump's a genius. Happy days are here again. Pro-growth, taxes are down, tariffs aren't as bad as we thought. Life is grand. And then the reality of a worldwide, as David Hunter calls it, a worldwide bust, but as others call it, a depression, becomes clear. I think the market's correct. I think the Fed and other worldwide banks, all led by the Fed, are going to step in one more time and try to save everybody's butt, the banks in particular, and probably will have a rally. I can't remember what happened right after 29. We crashed, and then I think it rallied into 31, something like that. But you'll never see the high that's made momentarily again. And then I think that over time, I think the not much time. I don't know how much time it'll take. 2 years, 3 years. But I think you could see 90% loss in the indexes. It could be devastating. And the Fed will step in. There'll be money printing, buying, and then we'll get back to work. And I think the United States will be what's the good word? Rehoming all of our industries. There'll be reindustrialization of the United States. And that's why I think there'll be a commodities boom. It was interesting. I listened to one guy today. First time I've heard it out of anybody's mouth other than Matthew Simmons. He thinks by, let me see if I wrote it down. Yeah, by by 2030 range, oil could get to $500 a barrel. 500. It's the first time I've heard of that since Matt Simmons. I agree with him. I agree with him. So anyway, go catch a movie, rest your eyes. All right, I might just go to sleep instead of catching a movie. Tomorrow will come. I never expected the S&P to actually jump back to 545. Yeah, I think you've seen the lows. I think the S&P is going to go to, I don't know. Let me go. I might. That's a good idea, Blue. Futures are up right now. I think the S&P lion is going to go to 8,000. I think the Dow is going to go to 65,000. I think NASDAQ, I'd said 25 before, but maybe 30,000. And the Russell, I think the Russell could go 4,500, 5,000. And I think it's all going to happen in the next 9 months, but it could happen in 6 months. It could happen in 3 months. It's going to be the final blow off top of a bull market that started, and I should have benefited from much more than I did. And then it's going to be over. But the good news is we'll make money in commodities. All right, I probably should sign off. I'm wasting everybody's time. The reset. That's a wild card. I don't know if you've noticed, but Trump has put gold everywhere in the White House. I think I have a picture of it. I might have taken, yeah, there. Is that it? Yeah. There's gold everywhere. Gold, 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 gold. I think he's telling us, even in the Oval Office, there's a lot of gold. I think he's telling us what he's thinking about. So you might be right. There might be a reset. There certainly could be. All right. I think I'm going to sign off because I'm tired. I don't know how to do that. All right. I'll see if I can find that. Yeah, I would take Blue's advice and say good night to everyone. Sorry, I didn't finish this afternoon, but I wanted to make sure you could listen to him wherever he was, and him and I'll, I'm sure, get on together tomorrow at some point. So peace to everybody, peace around the world, peace to all the little boys and girls.